Hi, and welcome to Screens in Focus, the podcast where we talk about your favorite TV shows and movies. I'm Diana, and today we are talking about The Fall Guy. Courtney is here to join me. Hi, Courtney. How are you?
Hello. Thanks for having me back. Doing great.
Anytime. I love talking with you.
I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk about this movie.
I know. When I saw the previews, I thought about you. I thought, oh, this is something Courtney's going to like, and I cannot wait. I hope she watches it and that we can talk about it. So before we dive into our conversation, of course, I want to ask you our question of the day, which is, what is your most anticipated movie for 2024?
Oh my gosh. I don't know that I have one yet. Oh, no,
Well,
I know. The remake of Twister.
Oh, yes. Yes. That's a good one. I love that.
I love me a good disaster movie, and tornadoes are the thing that I'm afraid of the most. And so I can't wait to see how they redo this. I loved the first one, and so stoked about it.
You're right. Now, when I first saw the trailer, I thought, oh my God, they're remaking this. And the original's so good. So I am like, but now that I keep seeing it on the trailers, I'm excited for it. So I can see that. So mine is one that may not be quite on the tip of everyone's brain, but it's called Bike Riders. Have you heard of this one?
I have not.
And it's about bike riders. Of course, I don't know if you recall, but I'm a huge Mayans MC fan. And so that I just love that TV show. It was so good. And this is not what that is, but this is about, motorcycle riders, and it stars Tom Hardy, Austin Butler, Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead is in it. And I think Jodie Comer, hopefully I'm correct on that, but I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is back in time. I don't think it's a current day. I really don't know what it's about. I just know they're probably on the road having experiences, and it just looks intriguing to me. So I'm really excited for it.
Young hotties on motorbikes. How can you go wrong?
I know, right? Right. There's so many other movies that are coming up. Deadpool and Wolverine, and the fact that Hugh Jackman is coming back after we thought, okay, he's never going to come back as Wolverine, and here he is coming back. So, okay. And then I just saw a trailer for Bad Boys, and it was a longer trailer, and it was funny. So the segment that I saw. So I'm like, there's still a lot of good movies coming out.
Yep.
So I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right, friends out there, what do you think? What is your most anticipated movie for 2024? We would love to know. You can leave us a comment here on YouTube or on any of our social media. You can get to that through our website at screensinfocus.com, because we would love to hear from you and what you're anticipating. All right. So we are going to talk about The Fall Guy. Oh my gosh, this was so entertaining. Ryan Gosling's charm meets Emily Blunt's wit in this action-packed romance. It has, heart-pounding stunts and just these laugh-out-loud moments. And so it brings a little bit of 80s nostalgia and with a little bit of a modern twist. And so it's a wild ride. And I just would love to know, Courtney, what you thought about it and why you think people like it or are gravitating toward it.
Oh my gosh, for all the reasons that you just said, and the chemistry between Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt is palpable. So that makes it even more fun, just like that super strong, flirty, banter. It's kind of like, the old Humphrey Bogart, and I can't remember her name now. his lover, like who he was always starring in the
Audrey
Hepburn.
Yeah.
Audrey Hepburn. Yeah. That sort of cat and mouse back and forth. It's just so good. Plus it has all the action, and I thought that the plot was fantastic. It had like a little double plot twist at the end, and so it was just, like you said, it was a wild ride. And I will say, so because I'm living in Lisbon, as you know, they don't translate the movies over here. They just put up the subtitles at the very bottom. So all the movies are in English, thank goodness. But they have to change the title, right? And so the title of this movie over in Portugal is Profissão Perigos, which is profession dangerous.
Really?
Yes. Yes. And I was asking our Portuguese teacher, he's Portuguese, and he's a translator for movies and for books. And I said, how do you deal with this? Because it's such a clever title. With the Fall Guy, of course, is a double meaning between the stunt being about stunt people and them falling
Yes.
all the time. And then also, that's the term that we use when you try to pin something on someone when they haven't actually done it. And I was like, it's such a clever title. How do you deal with this? And he was like, you just have to just go watch the movie and then sum up the title in a way, because over in Portugal, they would never get that double meaning, because that Fall Guy double meaning just doesn't apply here. So I just thought that was really interesting.
That is interesting. Well, also it's titled The Fall Guy because of the 80s series with Lee
Yes.
Majors.
Yeah.
And so they just, continued the name. I think I probably saw that, but I can't remember right now. But I guess he was a bounty hunter, an actual bounty hunter on his off time when he wasn't being a stuntman. So yeah, you're so right about their chemistry. It was amazing. I think Ryan Gosling probably has chemistry with anybody. But Emily Blunt is so good too. So I can't really just say it's him because it's her too. They're both so good. I thought it was cast phenomenally well. It's so entertaining. It is a love letter. They did mention that it's a love letter to the stunt people. It really is, because the director, David Leitch, was a stunt man for, I believe, Brad Pitt, and might have been, I don't know if it was Matt Damon also, or yeah, I think it is. And then he directed one of John Wick's, and then Atomic Blonde, and also Bullet Train with Brad Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that, by the way?
Yes, I loved it.
Okay. I'm thinking that, yes. Okay. So he directed those. And so those are just great action sequence. And this really does provide all that. And it's interesting. I love action because yes, you're seeing all this and it looks great. But I think the way this action was just, it was a highlight for me in watching it, because I normally am an emotional watcher. So I'm moved by what I'm feeling, like if I'm sad or if I'm happy or whatever, or if I'm learning something. But this was so good. It was so good. It just had everything. And yeah, the romance in it was so much fun. It was great. Oh, I do want to mention one funny scene that caught my eye was when you find a dead body in here and the guy's on ice.
Yeah.
And Ryan Gosling says, I want to report an ice crime. And I believe the police officer has an accent. So he repeats it and it sounds like he's saying ice cream. And Ryan Gosling's all, no, I don't want to report ice cream. I want to report an ice crime. I don't know, but Ryan Gosling, just his timing and the way he says things, so funny.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
funny.
He does have that comedic timing down, which just adds to the fun.
I was hearing them. I watched a lot of YouTube clips on both Emily and Ryan, and you could tell their chemistry, because even talking to one another, you could tell they're really good friends. They, what's the word, like when they can tease each other really, really good and really well. And they did that on the Oscars, although I know probably on the Oscars it was set up that way. But in every single clip that I saw, they were doing the same thing. So you could see it. And they said there was a lot of improv, which I love when directors and writers are okay with putting in some improv, because I just think those are sometimes the best moments of what you're watching, is when they're able to improv.
Yeah.
So so there was a lot of improv that I think went really well in this film.
Yeah.
All right. So I would love to talk about the characters and what you thought about them and their relationships, their dynamics, or any of the characters. What did you think? What stuck out to you?
I mean, for obvious reasons, the dichotomy of Colt's main character and him having to be this big, tough stunt man, but he has this big, soft, gooey center. We call those people M&Ms, like they're crunchy outer shell and the soft, gooey center. And that sort of tempered with the dynamic of the Emily Blunt's character, Jodie, being a really strong, capable woman who could be in a position of power with her directing this movie and also making time for the softer side. So to me, there was sort of like that joint theme there. They were both sort of working on those same things while Colt was working on his soft, gooey center, she was working on her hard outer shell. And they were able to sort of meet in the middle to sort of
Yeah.
come together as one, I guess, and as equals. And that's what I really loved about this dynamic is it wasn't like this typical come in, man save the day, he's the hero,
Oh, yeah.
woman being victim needs to be saved, whatever. It was no, they both were sort of tracking along on their own individual story arcs, and both of them equally strong and equally flawed in a very endearing way.
Yes. Absolutely. You're so right about that, Courtney. I hadn't thought about that. Cool. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So, we see Colt, we see both of them go through different things because with Jodie, we do see where she starts off as a camera operator.
Yeah.
And then they're going into their relationship and they're trying to hide it from other people, although it's kind of obvious. And then, we see, sorry, I'm going a little bit by the scenes because that's how it's playing out in my mind with me. But in the beginning with their relationship, how it was, they were dating, this was an improv moment when they're in the middle of a stunt. And he says, oh, do you want to go to the beach? And she says, oh, and have a spicy margarita. And he says, yeah, that was an improv. She loves spicy margaritas. And so they put that in the film. So, they have this again, banter with each other and flirting with one another. And then he is going up in that elevator to do that one stunt that changes his career for a while. But also he's afraid of heights. I learned that too. Ryan Gosling is afraid of heights, not Colt Seavers, because Colt Seavers can do anything. He'll do any stunt, anything. And so that, I don't know. I think he might have been kidding, but Ryan Gosling was saying that's why they put the glasses on him because his eyes were bugged out because he's like, oh my God, I got to fall. Because I think he did part of the stunt or maybe just at least went up the elevator to, partake in part of the stunt. But either way, whether he fell or didn't fall, that was a long way to fall.
Oh yeah.
And so he ends up getting hurt and he goes away for a year and a half, which has a huge impact on Jodie because she's like, what the heck? We're in this relationship and then you just take off. And so now she's hurt because of it. And so when he does re-enter her life again, she is in a vengeful mode. And so it's so funny in that scene where she has him redoing a fire scene where he's caught on fire and thrown against a rock over and over and over again.
That was one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, because she wants to get back at him. She's like, oh yeah. And it's so funny how they have the other characters in the scene, which are aliens. I believe they're aliens, right? It's so funny. They're like sitting on the rocks and then they're like waiting. Like everybody, the crew, everybody is in on this. They're watching both Jodie and Colt go back and forth as to how this is going to play out. And so I just loved, go ahead.
I'd say at the same time, they each have a megaphone and they're speaking about what happened in the relationship, but in the hypothetical as if it didn't really happen, that everyone else knows that it really happened. And they kind of catch wind as to why she's making him do this over and over and over. So everyone's sort of watching, like, what am I watching here? And what's happening?
I know, it's so funny because it is played out in front of everybody.
It was awesome.
And then it moves on after that, which is actually kind of one of my favorite scenes. I'm jumping ahead, but one of my favorite scenes is when she goes over to him. He's listening to Taylor Swift, which is so timely, right? So timely. He's listening to Taylor Swift in his car and he's having a good car cry. And all these tears are coming down, and she comes and she knocks on the window, rolls it down. She's, "Are you crying?" And he's all, "Doesn't everybody?" It was so funny.
Well, and you know what? I did love that they used Taylor Swift in there, because they could have used any artist from any decade that would evoke him like some type of a nostalgic memory. But the fact that they used Taylor Swift reminded you that this is happening in present day, right?
Yes.
Because it was not any song from the 80s or the 90s or even the early 2000s. It was a very current now moment, which totally brought you back to like, oh no, this is happening in real time.
Yeah. Yes. And we do see that arc between them also, right? Because Jodie first was in love with him, and then she was mad at him, and then now she's starting to soften, just a little as their relationship progresses. So, I liked seeing those different moments with them, which,
Mm-hmm.
like you were saying, the storyline is a great storyline. It's something for you to hang on to. Different things are happening to each of them. And then of course he goes off, and because that manager, I can't remember her name, I don't know if is her real name Gail, or is her name Gail in this movie.
No,
Anyway.
it's Hannah Waddington.
Oh,
And
that's right.
she plays her character as Gail, who, by the way, this was another thing that I noticed that I thought they must have just been dying of laughter as like an inside joke, because in every scene, she's holding two fisting caffeine of some sort. She either has a can of Diet Coke or a soda fountain drink that she can't stop slurping. And it almost
Yes.
becomes like the prop almost becomes an extension of her character. Like she's so manic and so like crazy frantic that this is what's fueling it. So you don't quite know like where the caffeine ends and she begins.
Yeah. She was great. Everybody was cast so well. I loved every character in
Yeah.
this. All of them. They were amazing.
Yeah. Another scene that I thought was absolutely hilarious was towards the end or the beginning of the third act, where Colt comes back and he's dressed as an alien and everyone's looking for him because they don't know that he's not dead. And he sneaks
Yeah.
into the trailer and she goes absolutely mental and starts like basically killing him. And he's trying to signal to her through like this alien costume that it's him, because she thinks
I forgot about that
Yes.
part. I forgot.
And it's so funny. Like she's literally breaking things over him and pushing him up against counters, and then starts choking him. And it's not until he gives her the thumbs up that she realizes it's him underneath there, and basically stops herself from actually killing him.
That's hilarious. Well, and she hated that thumbs up earlier, but I don't know if that's because I think that might have been when she was in a mood, because of she was not liking him at that point, because she thinks, what, you just left.
Yeah.
But yes, that's hilarious. That part was so funny. So, what was your favorite? Do you have we've talked about so many of our favorite moments, but do you have a particular favorite moment?
Well, that one that I just mentioned, I think towards the end when Colt jumps into the car with Tom Ryder, which is supposed to be like a CGI scene, and he doesn't know it's coming. And you know that as an audience member that everyone is in on this except for him. And so just the sheer terror on his face, knowing that like now Colt has taken this situation over, I think is brilliant. And the way that they sort of entrapped him into admitting what he admitted. And I just loved that whole ending. I actually think that my most favorite part about the whole movie was the fact that it was so meta, in that
Yes.
a movie about stunt people, and yet how many stunt people had to stand in for the actual people playing stunt people.
Yes.
And we also got to get a glimpse of the behind the scenes of how the stunts are done. So it very much felt like, oh my God, this whole thing is totally meta. Like we're watching a movie behind the scenes about a movie about stunt people, where the stunt people are doing this behind the scenes. Like, what's happening?
I just got chills as you were saying that, because 100% totally meta. So, and it is a true love letter to the stunt people.
Yeah.
And I've seen where Ryan Gosling has done a lot of interviews, and he brought, I think it was to Jimmy Kimmel, he brought like his 5 stunt people, and he named what each of them, their concentration was like. Oh, this person when I had to jump the building, and this person did the famous cannon roll, and this person did this and this. So I love that they're highlighting all of the stunt people.
Yeah.
It's about time, because they they put their life on the line for us to have all these action sequences. It was, oh my God. So what I had said earlier on that the action sequences were so well done. It was a highlight to me. And so the two things, of course, the highlight, Ryan Gosling, he just is a movie star, and he's just so charismatic, but he's so funny. What I think I really love about, I'm going to get to my favorite part, but I have to talk about Ryan Gosling for a second. I think what I love about him is I don't even know the right word, but he can make fun of himself, or he doesn't take himself too seriously. He's not like, oh, I'm a movie star. Make sure I mean, he doesn't care. He's in it for the laugh. He's in it for the fun. He's charming. He is very witty, and he's like this in real life, because I've seen him in so many clips and interviews. He's hilarious and so fun. He'd be so fun to hang out with and be around.
Oh my God. Even in when he hosted Saturday Night Live, and he
Yes, Beavis and Butthead.
Every single scene was so hilarious. It was so funny, because you knew he was just like tickled himself, right? Like that's just what it was. He was having the most fun of his life, and he couldn't keep it in, and that made everyone else have the most fun of their lives.
Yes, it totally did. And we did an Oscar preview, but we never talked about the Oscars. But his moment on the Oscars doing the song from Barbie, I'm Just Ken. And so, oh my gosh, he's so amazing. So anyway, two of my favorite parts were the two stunts. So one was the ending, like you had mentioned. I loved that whole thing, and I had that in my head, and I thought that was so good. That was probably my favorite part. But I also liked the stunt where he was in the back of that. Was it a garbage truck? I don't know what that truck was that he was in the back of, that he was on, but with the dog, when he's in the car with the dog and the whole dog, I love the dog.
Yeah.
It's so funny. The dog wants a seatbelt on. He keeps barking until he puts a seatbelt on. The dog was hilarious too. And I love when they bring an animal into it like that. And just all that action sequence. And also, we didn't talk about Emily Blunt doing her karaoke to Phil Collins also. And so that was also another fun moment. So to me, all those action sequences were just such a highlight. And I would say that end, like you said, because one of the whole action sequence, but also what they were doing in the scene, how they were setting up Tom Ryder in that. So I just thought it was great. It was such a great movie.
Yeah.
All right. So do you have any other tidbits or thoughts you want to bring up about this movie?
No, except for now I want a spicy margarita.
I know, right? God, that sounds so good. And I love the way Emily Blunt says it. Spicy margarita. Yeah. I don't know how she says it, but she says it really good. Yeah. So I do want to quickly mention the cannon roll that was in this, and that is the car rolling over on the beach. It rolled 8.5 times, which is he made a Guinness World Record with that roll.
Wow.
I think previously it had been 7 rolls, and it was in one of the James Bond movies. So that was kind of cool that record was broken and made in this movie, which, oh my God. That's
by an actual stuntman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I do want to mention the 80s music in this, because they played Bon Jovi. That's a whole other thing I could talk about. And then I love that documentary. Check it out. And also the Miami Vice jacket and being in the boat
Yep.
Oh, so 80s, so 80s. I know it's current time, that is great that how you said Taylor Swift brought us back to this is a current movie
Mm-hmm.
because there were a lot of nostalgic type of 80s themes and elements in this movie, which I thought were just phenomenal.
Well, and you got that when he referenced his very first stunt that he did, what was on Miami Vice, and then he drove the boat through the fire. And then that's what
Yes.
he actually did later in the harbor when he drove the boat through the fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
So it's so good.
Well, and even you mentioned karaoke, Emily Blunt singing Against All Odds. Like another piece of nostalgic. I'm a child of the 80s, as I know you are. And so that
Yeah.
music is just continues to be my favorite of all time.
Yes, it is.
Right
It
back.
is.
And so anytime anyone jam packs their movie with 80s tunes, I'm here for it.
Me too. Me too. I love it. So go watch it, people, if you haven't. And if you have seen it, go watch it again because I want to and I will
Yeah.
because I just love it.
I'll definitely watch it when it comes out on streaming for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. So fun. All right, Courtney, I would love it if you would share with our friends out there other movies from Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling.
Yes, this is. I had to go back into the deep archives to pull out some of my favorites. And so starting with Ryan Gosling, Crazy Stupid Love, one of my favorite movies of all time. That was in 2011. And then La La Land, of course, 2016. It was interesting when I was going back through and looking at his body of work, which is huge, right? Because he started acting when he was a kid. And seeing that The Big Short was in 2015, and he also did The Nice Guys in 2016. So then looking the movies before that, most notable one was The Notebook. And I think that when he did The Big Short, that was the corner that he turned when people started seeing him not just as one of the very pretty Hollywood leading men, because of his role in The Big Short, and he got a chance to show his smart, witty side. And like he was so sharp, in that movie. And I think people got finally a glimpse into the depth of what he could do. And then that leading into The Nice Guys, which was like this, buddy comedy, kind of a little bit of like reminiscent, potentially a cousin to The Fall Guy, right? Like it was very much like in that kind of same era.
Yeah.
Very comedic sort of action film. But then when he did La La Land, things opened up even more, right? Where people were like, holy shit, this guy can sing and he can dance.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, like he's a Mouseketeer, right? So it makes a lot of sense that he would be
But
able
I
to
didn't
do that.
know that at
Right.
the time.
Who knew that, right? Like as an adult. And like he can sing and he can dance and he can act and he's very funny and he's witty and he's clever. Oh my God. Which sort of like then of course paved the way for everything that came before it. And then Barbie took it to another level, and then this one, I think just he what is the ceiling for this man? He's a unicorn in the world of actors, right? So and it makes it look so effortless, like he's not even trying, like you said, like he's just being himself and having the time of his life, which is probably why it's happening, because he's not in it for anything else other than that. Okay, so switching over to Emily Blunt, I feel like I did love this one too. Going back in sequential order from years released, I did love The Jungle Cruise. I saw that on your list too. Love The Jungle Cruise that she did. And then starting the Wayback Machine there in 2012, 5-Year Engagement, one of my favorite movies with her and Jason Segel, mostly because it takes place in Ann Arbor, which I'm a Michigan girl. I was born and raised there. So the fact that they actually filmed scenes there at Singerman's Deli, which is super famous, which was great. And then going back even further to Gulliver's Travels, where she plays the romantic lead. Jack Black plays Gulliver. I thought that was just a fun movie, super, super cute. And then who could forget The Devil Wears Prada? The most famous line, I'm just one stomach virus away from my goal weight.
That's so funny. I love that list. I don't know that I've seen 5-Year Engagement, and I didn't see Gulliver's Travels. Is it so you like that? So I'll have to try and check that out.
Well, now you have a project for this weekend. You've got a double feature.
I know. I know. There is one Ryan Gosling movie that I know I haven't seen that I've wanted to watch, and it's Blue Valentine. I have not seen that one of his, so I
I can't.
should
Yeah,
go
I don't
back.
think that I've seen that either.
I've seen them talk about it a lot. Other people talk about it quite often. And so I'm like, oh, I think I need to watch this. So my recommendations are Barbie, love it, Ryan Gosling. I agree with you. One of my favorites is Crazy Stupid Love. Love it so much. I think also because Steve Carell is in it. And so is Emma Stone and Julianne Moore. So I think the four of them are just really good in it. Plus all the supporting cast. So I just love that movie. Jungle Cruise with Emily Blunt. The Notebook. Okay, The Notebook is really high for me. That is one of my favorite movies because, you know, me, if I'm bawling, I love the movie. So, The Quiet Place with Emily Blunt. I know you haven't probably seen this because you don't like anything too gory.
Oh no, I did. I actually
You
liked
did
it a
see
lot.
it.
Yes, I saw both
Oh,
of them.
you did.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. I didn't think you'd watch something like that, but yeah, she's so good in it. So good. That's probably one of my favorite movies with her in it. Both of them. And then, of course, I have La La Land with Ryan Gosling. And with Emily Blunt, I have The Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise. So I think those are some good watches. There's others. I mean, of course, she's in Oppenheimer and she's in the Woods and in other things.
Oh,
And I think
the girl
Mary
on the train.
Oh, I love that one. I love movies like that. So yeah, there's so many. So go watch Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt movie. Go watch The Fall Guy. They're all great. And so, yeah, those are our recommendations for you. All right, Courtney. Thank you. Thank you for joining me today. I always love my conversations with you.
So fun. Likewise. Thank you for having me.
Friends, that's our show. Thanks for tuning in. We are grateful you tuned in. We hope something that we said today resonated with you, gave you a chuckle, some happiness, some positivity, or inspiration. Please subscribe to our website at screensinfocus.com. You can connect with us on social media. All those links are on our website and in the show notes. Remember to keep watching, keep exploring, and keep those screens in focus. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.